stationed around the venue. Join us for a campus tour from 4 to 6 p.m. and enjoy the beauty of beautiful ID campus. And also, please don't forget to share your experience on social media handles of Alumni Association ID Kanpur. We are available on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. We are about to commence the GCC Global Capability Centers Innovation Summit 2025 shortly. Good morning, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, dignitaries, policymakers, and GCC leaders, a heartfelt welcome to all of you. On behalf of Alumni Association IT Kanpur, I, Shweta Kumar, your host for this event, would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you at the inaugural session of the GCC, Global Capability Centers Innovation Summit 2025, under the umbrella of Startup Masterclass event. We are truly honored to welcome our chief guest, Mr. Alok Kumar, Principal Secretary, Planning, Government of Uttar Pradesh. A very warm welcome as well to Professor Manindra Agarwal, Director, ID Kanpur, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, Institute Chair Professor, ID Kanpur, Mr. Sanjeev Gupta, CEO, KDEM, Karnataka Digital Economy Mission, and Mr. Kiran Cherukuri, Executive Vice President, HCL Tech and Global GCC Practice Leader. We also take this opportunity to acknowledge the presence of Professor Amay Karkare, Dean of Resources and Alumni, Mr. Jaishankar Sharma, SMC, Chairperson SMC, Mr. Sunil Singhal, DAA, and Mr. Tarun Bhargav, Vice President, Alumni Association. We are equally pleased to have with us our esteemed alumni, faculty, staff, students, members of press, and well-wishers who have gathered here today. It's truly a privilege to gather here today, bringing together the best of industry, GCC leaders, policymakers, and academia united in a pursuit of innovation, collaboration, and transformative solutions for the future. I would now humbly request Professor Ashutosh Sharma, Institute Chair Professor, ID Kanpur, to kindly come forward and be seated on the dais. Requesting Mr. Sanjeev Gupta, CEO, KDEM, Karnataka Digital Economy Mission, to kindly take his seat on the dais. Requesting Mr. Kiran Cherukuri. He has not come? Okay. Humbly requesting Professor Manindra Agarwal, Director, ID Kanpur, and Mr. Alok Kumar, Principal Secretary, Planning UP, to kindly join us on the dais. I would now request Mr. Jaishankar Sharma to kindly take a seat on the dais. To inaugurate this momentous occasion, we will begin with the ceremonial lighting of the lamp, symbolizing the pursuit of knowledge and dispelling of darkness. I humbly request our honorable dignitaries present on stage to kindly come forward, and Professor Amay Karkare, Mr. Sunil Singhal, and Mr. Tarun Bhargav to kindly join them for the ceremonial lighting of lamp, which symbolizes knowledge and wisdom. Om Shubham Karoti Kalyanam Arogyam Dhan Sampada Shatru Buddhi Vinashaya Deepa Jyotir Namostute. At the commencement of any auspicious occasion, Jyot has been observed. The lighting of lamps symbolizes abundance, prosperity, and knowledge, dispelling darkness and ignorance. Thank you, everyone. I would now humbly request Professor Amay Karkare, Dean of Resources and Alumni, to kindly felicitate Mr. Alok Kumar, Principal Secretary, Planning UP. requesting Mr. Jaishankar Sharma to kindly felicitate Professor Manindra Gwal, Director IIT Kanpur, and Professor Ashutosh Sharma, Institute Chair Professor. Humbly requesting Mr. Tarun Bhargav to kindly felicitate Mr. Sanjeev Gupta. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, as India makes bold strides towards becoming a global hub for deep tech, today's gathering is both timely and inspiring. We have brought together the finest minds from our technology institutions, policymakers, visionary entrepreneurs, GCC leaders, and investors, all united by a common goal to shape the future of innovation. Let's begin today with an invocation that celebrates the spirit of confluence. Om Gange cha Yamune chaiva Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jalismin Saninindhim Kuru. Just as the sacred Ganga flows through Uttar Pradesh and the rivered Kaveri nurtures Karnataka, their waters merge into the collective spirit of India. In the same way, this GCC, Global Capability Centers Innovation Summit 2025, is a confluence where streams of knowledge, innovation, and opportunity unite. IIT Kanpur stands at the heart of this confluence, a premier institute that GCCs across the world look to when they seek the cutting-edge researchers, breakthrough ideas, and future-ready talent. Uttar Pradesh, the largest state of India, where tradition meets modernity and culture meets commerce, emerges as a natural choice for GCC, looking to build strong roots while assessing world-class innovation. States like Uttar Pradesh and Karnataka have already recognized the power of fostering innovation and global collaboration by introducing dedicated GCC policies that strengthen India's capabilities in R&D, entrepreneurship, and technology-driven growth. Building on this vision, Uttar Pradesh is actively inviting global capability centers to co-create a robust center of excellence ecosystem, further strengthening the GCC landscape and positioning the state as a hub for cutting-edge innovation. Aligned with the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047 and Atmanirbhar Bharat, this forum brings together academia, industry, and capital, the three currents that will propel India towards global leadership in deep tech. So let's begin this exciting journey of ideas, inspiration, and impact. I would now like to invite Professor Amay Karkare, Dean Resources and Alumni, and Secretary Alumni Association, to kindly deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Shweta. So respected dignitaries on the dais and everyone, a very good morning from IIT Kanpur. So on behalf of IIT Kanpur and Alumni Association IIT Kanpur, I welcome you all to this Global Capability Centers Innovation Summit 2025. This summit is hosted by IIT Kanpur Alumni Association as part of the Startup Master Class that they organize multiple times a year. It is a unique platform that brings together academia, industry, and investors on one single platform to build India's future. And in this case, we are focusing on building deep technology. When we say deep tech, we mean artificial intelligence, quantum computing, advanced materials, biotechnology, and other fields that will decide now that how our nation will progress in the coming years. India has the talent and the energy, and now we have to turn that into leadership on the global stage. Global Capability Centers, or GCCs, they play a very important role in this journey. They are becoming the centers of innovation. And this summit is about connecting these GCCs with our researchers, our startups, our young alumni, our innovators, so that together we can create solutions for India and the world. What makes me especially proud is this GCC summit is hosted by Alumni Association IIT Kanpur with the vision of creating a platform where collaboration drives innovation. This effort directly supports India's aspiration of Viksit Bharat 2047 and positions our country as a global deep tech leader. Over the next 2 days, you will hear from different experts, you will interact with innovators, you will have discussions about how our deep tech can improve our country, and make us a global worldwide leader. So this summit will go far beyond this campus and will contribute to the larger mission of nation building. So on behalf of IIT Kanpur and Alumni Association IIT Kanpur, I thank each of you to being here, and I welcome you all once again to this 2 days of intense discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to humbly invite Mr. Jay Shankar Sharma to kindly share the vision of GCC, Global Capability Centers Innovation Summit.
Namaskar. SMC is a startup masterclass, and it's a part of Alumni Association activities. We have been doing this kind of exercise since 10 years, started from Bangalore in 2015. Now we are here with GCC subjects. Why GCC? We started with Bangalore, and Karnataka Digital Economy Mission supported us, and Sanjeev Gupta ji, who is in Bangalore, CEO, KDM, he said that शर्मा जी मैं भी बनारस का ही हूँ. तो हम बोले ठीक है कावेरी को यहाँ लाते हैं, कावेरी गंगा हम लोग, तो this will be a great confluence. And just now I was talking with Alok ji. I think that this is perhaps unique kind of GCC mission where 6 stakeholders are here. Number one, GCCs, some 20 plus GCCs are here, covering different domains, organizations, and some of them are on the way, so you can find that one chief guest, he's still on the way. So GCCs, startups, deep tech startups, only deep tech startups. Investors, some of the investors would be meeting you who have already done several tech parks, they would be meeting you. Then researchers, we have differentiated researchers from a startup this time, and I think this also we are doing for the first time in IIT Kanpur, Professor Amrinji. So how we differentiated researchers? Researchers are professors, and they are basically involved in, apart from research, all the academic kind of thing. So after beyond a certain level of TRLs, technology readiness levels, I think that supportive system, it has started on national way in a big way. But then from our private side also, we think that we should give enough opportunity to connect with them, and we connect them with researchers with investors and GCCs. So this time we are trying to have some co-creation with researchers, co-creation, IP sharing. So this will be basically a significant thing. We are just trying. Journey has started, but I think that it has very high potential. Then government. We are very fortunate that Alok Kumarji is here, and another, our Bijay Kiran Anandji, he is on the way, he will be here. So they have expressed their vichar to meet maximum number of GCCs, and I think Alokji, we are proudly saying that this is the first mission where some 20 GCCs you will be meeting along with some of the major investors. You give them opportunities, and Sanjeev ji, you bring GCCs here. So both you have to basically work together. So, and then finally our IIT Kanpur, we wish that soon we have one strong center of excellence on GCC strengthening. आप पैसा दीजिए, काम हो जाएगा. And so this is what we are trying to do, and we depend on GCCs. GCCs depend on us. So I think that I will not take much time. हम लोग का विचार काफ़ी आगे है. It has just started, and wish all the best for the next 2 days of sessions. Some 14 panels are there, and then pitching will be done separately for startups in front of investors. Mukul Singhal ji, he is laughing at me. He is a good investor, very successful investor. And researchers, we are bringing researchers before GCCs, and as well for co-creation, as well as with investors. So I think that with this, I will just keep watching the activities, and we wish that something comes out at the end of today's session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to invite Professor Manindra Agrawal, the esteemed director of IIT Kanpur, to share his insights on how IIT Kanpur can play a pivotal role in contributing to the vision of GCC Innovation Summit.
Good morning, everyone. Shri Alok Kumar, Principal Secretary, Planning, UP Government. Shri Sanjeev Gupta, CEO of Karnataka Digital Economy Mission. Professor Ashutosh Sharma, my colleague, Jaishankar ji, this is a source of unlimited energy in driving this whole initiative, and many others. All the participants to the GCC Innovation Summit. I'm really happy that such an event is today taking place at IIT Kanpur. And I'll put a context to it. The state of Uttar Pradesh, not too long ago, was considered as one of the laggard states in terms of industrial development. There were many reasons for it. But over past several years, things have started changing. We have got all the infrastructure, basic necessary ingredients which will encourage industrial development. They are all in place. Today we have an environment in the state, and not insignificant credit to Alok Kumar here and many others who have made this a very receptive environment at the state. And from an institutional perspective, that's a context when I want to bring in. It's extremely important for the institute to participate in this and take this forward to the best of our abilities for two reasons. One, a broad, uniform development of the state is going to help the institute. There will be more facilities, more resources, and that is always good to have. Second, with the institute itself taking a lead in creating technologies, especially in deep tech domains, and enucleating multiple programs in this, it is essential that the ecosystem around the institute is well established. Only then we can reap the maximum benefits out of this initiative. So for these reasons, I am very happy and welcome this initiative, and I hope that many more such initiatives take place. IIT Kanpur will continue to play its part in making this happen. And I hope that you have great discussions over next 2 days and work out a plan on how to bring such GCCs and others initiatives to the state. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to invite Mr. Jaishankar Sharma to introduce and invite our chief guest, Mr. Alok Kumar, Principal Secretary, Planning, UP.
Most of us can go to the website, etc. I mean, we don't have. So Alok Kumar ji is our alumnus, IAS, and presently Principal Secretary, Planning and Program Implementation. And he brings a lot of energy for development that we will be discussing here. And your coming has really strengthened our success rate. We will definitely succeed faster in shorter time. And but लेकिन पैसा दीजिएगा IT कारपोरेट को.
अभी हम लोग पैसे का ही आपस में बात कर रहे थे जो सर से पैसा
आप 100 करोड़ हमको दे दीजिए सेंटर ऑफ एक्सेलेंस, आपका देखिए फटाफट चलेगा गाड़ी. So and Sanjeev ji laughing at me, when we do this, you bring lot many GCCs here, and I think that we will seek your advice. Sir, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, there are 2 Padma Shris here. 2 Padma Shris. Professor Manindra Agarwal ji, Professor Ashutosh Sharma recently, and Professor Ashutosh Sharma ji basically 7 years तक GST के secretary भी थे. Very illustrious professor. तो आपका भी help चाहिए sir. इसमें
I don't have any money. I don't even have wallet. I don't carry one.
So thank you very much. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Respected Manind sir, Director IIT Kanpur, J. Sharma Sahab, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, Sanjeev Gupta ji, Professor Amey, Professor Tarun, other dignitaries, other professors, faculty of IIT Kanpur, representatives from startup community, like investors, GCC champions, I would say, like. So like first of all, this is like a true privilege for me to like come here and address this gathering and on this GCC Innovation Summit. So as you like know that I am not from like a startup community, and I'm also not like a investor. I am representing a state of UP. And I'm also like tasked with this mission of turning UP into a $1 trillion economy. So as you would know, like thanks to our Honorable Prime Minister, like, when in 2020, he said that we should really focus on economic goals, and we should make in India a $5 trillion economy. So like at that time, our Chief Minister, Yogi Adityanath ji, he was the first CM to jump on this occasion and said that we resolved that we should be the first state to make, to turn into a $1 trillion economy. So like our contribution should be 20%. And when India becomes $5 trillion economy, UP should be $1 trillion economy. So like this in itself is a great thing, because like I am also here in UP for since I joined sir in 1990, I'm in UP only. So like it's almost 35 years I'm in UP. And I have also seen the journey of both state of UP as well as IIT Kanpur. Abhi jaisa sir bata rahe the, like whenever we see that IIT Kanpur is ranked number 5th, then like in your time, sir, in my time also, in 1994, like we were always number 1. IIT Kanpur means number 1 institute of the country, and now number 5th. So as UP has gone down, IIT Kanpur has also gone down. So like if we have to become, IIT Kanpur has to become number 1, then as sir was saying, we truly believe that if UP becomes number one, then IIT Kanpur will surely become number one. And we have to regain that position, sir. We have to be, again, number one institute in the country. So that is the thing, and that is why I am here. So, like, we have seen the journey. I have seen the ups and downs. आप लोगों ने भी those who are living in Kanpur, in this campus for many years. Many of you are living, sir, of course, sir is here for so many years. So, like, we have all witnessed this journey. एक lull, एक frustration over the years, but certainly last few years, we have seen the reversal. We have seen the trend reversing. और this is not because, like, क्योंकि मैं हम लोग उस मिशन को हेड कर रहे हैं और this is very much evident from the data itself. अभी मैं बताऊं कि like there is annual survey of industries which takes place every year. Annual survey of industries. And the recently released annual survey of industries is that we are first, like among all top 5 states, we have registered a growth of 25%. 25%, and this is everywhere. Like, this is on the Government of India website. This is like, so this is not some claim by a political person. We are seeing the trend, and we will certainly, like, together with all of you, like, we can reverse this trend and we can make UP great again. So this is not only evident in terms of, like, as I was mentioning, industrial output. We have also in terms of our GDP growth. GDP growth is very much important, like, because GDP growth is like, if you are growing in agriculture, industry, like, you have, so it is an indicator of growth in all sectors. So, like, our GDP growth, our state's GDP growth, we are exceeding our national growth by at least 2% over the last 3 years. So our growth rate has been more than the national growth rate. And this is also, again, evident from the fact that our per capita income, it was somewhere around, even in 1970-71, so our, like, state's per capita income was around 80% of the national per capita income. But then it went down, going down, and then we were around 50% in year 2017. But now again, as I was saying that we can see the turnaround, and now we are somewhere around 53-54%. So at least the trend has started, the growth trajectory, we have started moving on the right direction, and surely, like, in years to come, we will be, like, catching up with the national per capita income. This is our resolve. Now, apart from that, like, why I am here, because, like, I have to convince our GCC players, our investors to come and invest in UP. Because, like, you would see the change. Like, when we talk about expressways, we have the, like, biggest network of expressways, that is in UP. Not like we have connected from Delhi to, like, Bihar. It is, we have connected, like, east to west, everywhere, and not only Purvanchal Expressway. You also might have heard, like, Ganga Expressway is coming up, which will be connecting, like, Meerut to Prayagraj. We'll also have north-south corridor. East to west, we have already covered. Now we will be also making sure that we have north-south corridor also. Apart from expressways, we have, like, Jewar Airport will be coming up in next few months. And then, like, we want to position ourselves as one of the biggest cargo hub of the, like, at least northern India. In terms of, like, industrial freight corridor also, we are at the junction of Delhi-Mumbai industrial corridor and the Eastern dedicated freight corridor, and the multi-logistics hub and multi-modal transport hub. These are all coming up in Noida. Moving on, like, we also we are aware of this fact that if we want to bring GCC and more startups in UP, we want to bring, like, IT ecosystem in, be it not only in NCR, in Lucknow, Kanpur region also, then we have to invest in urbanization. So again, we are completely aware of this fact, and over last like 7-8 years, we have really invested in our urban infrastructure also. Not only through a smart city mission, because, like, there is this smart city mission which is funded by central government, but we also have our own mission where we are funding those cities which are not getting funded from central government. So there are many things related to infrastructure, and power situation has also improved. Like, the complete perception has changed. And this is not like whenever we are going somewhere, whenever you are going somewhere, then Now, if we talk, if we say that we are from UP, then like the perception is not like which was earlier, like to 10, 20 years back. The law and order situation is completely changed. And that's why like investors are coming to UP. It is not that like we have seen, and we have seen some of the success over last few years, and we want to like make this more and more we want to move and accelerate this growth trend. So like coming to GCC and like IT sector, we are sure that, and we are completely aware that if we have to move from like 10-15% growth rate to around 20% nominal growth rate, then we have to bring in more and more IT players and GCC into our cities. And NCR, like NCR, that I would say that NCR has already been like one of the focal areas, and GCCs have been coming to NCR area. We have like many of the GCCs are present here. Like Microsoft is investing big time in Noida. Apart from Microsoft, JP Morgan Chase is also like they have start like they are having their R&D center in Noida. We have Qualcomm, and there are other like semiconductor focused GCCs who are there in Noida area. But now we want to like the focus. It's not that we will be like shifting our focus from NCR. No, we will be focused on Noida, and we will be like unlocking in fact, like we will be unlocking more and more potential in Noida area also, in the NCR area also, but we will also be focused on Lucknow and Kanpur region. So like Lucknow and Kanpur, because like unless we put some of the focus on Lucknow and Kanpur region, like because like there are startups, there are students who are doing great business and who have great business sense, but when they pass out from IIT Kanpur, they are nurtured in our incubator, but then they go back to southern states. Why? So I am here to make sure that together with Vijay and our full team is there. We will make sure Professor Amitabh is not there. Professor Amitabh would always say me that, Alok, you will have to do something, otherwise like our startups and they are going south. So like, we are here, and we are completely committed. We'll bring back our students. We will make sure that whatever is needed from our side, like our GCC policy. This is not mentioned, like I was going through the brochure. Professor Nachiket, this is like UP GCC is not mentioned here. Like Karnataka and other have been mentioned here. No issues. Like our GCC has been benchmarked, and it is one of the best policies. It is one of the best policies. Whatever we could offer, be it payroll in terms of payroll compensation, in terms of land subsidy, like we have benchmarked it to the different states, Karnataka and other states, and we have one of the best GCC policies. Again, in startups, we are here. Any kind of support is needed, be in terms of land facilitation, other financial issues, we'll be there to support you. In short, Sahab, as I have already said, that together, IIT Kanpur and state, we should work together, and we should make both the institute and our state great again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to invite Mr. Jai Shankar Sharma to introduce and invite Mr. Sanjeev Gupta, CEO, KDEM, Karnataka Digital Economy Mission, the speaker of the event, to share his expert views.
Sanjeev Gupta ji is a powerhouse, and he is CEO of Karnataka Digital Economy Mission, and under his leadership, several initiatives throughout major districts in Karnataka they have achieved, and I think that with his coming here, and anyway you are from Varanasi, तो आप थोड़ा सा इधर भी देखिएगा, तो सर इनको छोड़िए जाननी. So we are having a lot of scope for working together. So that's all. Other details are on website.
Suprabhatam, very good morning to all of you. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद जयशंकर जी एंड डायरेक्टर साहब हमें निमंत्रण देने के लिए और हमें अपनी मातृभूमि पे आने के लिए. यूपी हमारा खुद का स्टेट है. धन्यवाद. Born and brought up in Jhansi, studied in Varanasi. कर्मभूमि इस समय कर्नाटका बेंगलोर है, लेकिन दिल तो धड़कता है और वो उत्तर प्रदेश के लिए धड़कता है. And I think Alok ji has very clearly laid down the very fantastic map of government of UP to make this. I remember that slogan, Uttar Pradesh, Uttam Pradesh. I think Alok ji, hats off to you. You are driving in a mission mode. आप तो ब्यूरोक्रेट लगते ही नहीं हैं, आप तो एक CEO लगते हैं किसी बड़ी सी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के, कॉल गवर्नमेंट ऑफ उत्तर प्रदेश के. और तो आपका जो अप्रोच है टुवर्ड्स द इंडस्ट्री एंड अदर थिंग, आई थिंक आई रियली वांट टू अप्रिशिएट दैट. प्लीज कीप दिस स्पिरिट अलाइव. We need people like you from the citizens of the Uttar Pradesh to drive the economic growth of the state as well. I want to share with you that why Karnataka has become something very different. The reason why I'm sharing with you is because first time you will understand that it's not an on and off switch which just happens. It's a lot of things which has to come together, right? And that's how it happens upon. उससे पहले मैं आपको थोड़े से नंबर देता हूँ. हमारे देश में अगर हम GCC की बात करें तो 1987 में एक पहला GCC हमारे देश में पैदा हुआ था, उसे कहते हैं TI. टेक्सास इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स ने अपनी कंपनी सेटअप की थी एज अ GCC, और वो आज 4 दशक से ऊपर हो रहे हैं. एंड नाउ दिस GCC का जो ट्रेंड बना वो आज के समय करीब 1800 GCCs हैं हमारे देश में जो अलग अलग लोकेशंस पे अपनी ऑपरेशंस करती हैं. उसमें से तकरीबन करीब 900 के आसपास सिर्फ कर्नाटका में है. क्यों है इसका रीज़न? ताली मत बजाइएगा, मुझे यूपी चाहिए, राइट? सो टू दैट एक्सटेंट हम बताना चाहते हैं क्यों. अरे बिल्कुल सर, बिल्कुल बजाइए, प्लीज़ बजाइए. एक तो ये फिगर है. दूसरा फिगर है कि फॉर्च्यून 500 कंपनीज ऑफ द वर्ल्ड आप लिस्ट करें अगर, तो 400 के आसपास, मतलब कि विश्व की 500 बड़ी कंपनियां, उसमें 400 के आसपास कर्नाटका में अपना R&D सेंटर खोल के रखी हुई है. एंड वन ऑफ द लार्जेस्ट R&D सेंटर्स आर ऑपरेटिंग फ्रॉम दैट प्लेस. ऐसा क्यों है? व्हाई इट इज सो? क्वेश्चन मार्क. नंबर तीसरा, अगर हम डीप टेक की बात करें तो कर्नाटका में इस समय करीबन 600,000 6 लाख AI ML रिसोर्सेज प्रोफेशनल्स वर्किंग हैं. कहाँ से आए ये सब? कैसे हो रहा है ये सब चीज़ें? क्वेश्चन मार्क. फिर आता है स्टेटस की तकरीबन 18,000 के आसपास स्टार्टअप्स हैं हमारे देश में. 1,90,000 स्टार्टअप्स हैं रजिस्टर्ड, बट फंडेड स्टार्टअप्स अगर हम लेके चलें तो थोड़े से कम होंगे. मेरे ख्याल से करीब 40,000 के आसपास स्टार्टअप्स होंगे जो फंडेड स्टार्टअप्स होंगे. उसमें से तकरीबन 50% फंडेड स्टार्टअप्स जो हैं वो कर्नाटका से आते हैं. 110 यूनिकॉर्न्स देश में पैदा होते हैं और तकरीबन करीब 52 से 55 यूनिकॉर्न्स कर्नाटका से पैदा होते हैं. उसमें से करीब 10 हमारे जो हम कहते हैं बॉम्बे को, मुंबई को फाइनेंस कैपिटल ऑफ इंडिया, 10 फिनटेक यूनिकॉर्न्स आर बॉर्न फ्रॉम कर्नाटका. तो फिनटेक कैपिटल इज बैंगलोर. क्यों है ये सब? व्हाई इट इज सो, राइट? अनदर नंबर लेके जाते हैं अगर, तो एक 40% का जो नंबर है बड़ा अच्छा नंबर है ये. जैसे कि आप IT एक्सपोर्ट्स ले लो पूरे देश का, 40% कर्नाटका से आता है. इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स एक्सपोर्ट्स ले लो, 40% वहाँ से आता है. सेमीकंडक्टर्स का डिज़ाइन हाउस है वर्ल्ड का. सेमीकंडक्टर्स में अगर डिज़ाइनिंग में हम देखें तो हम नंबर 2 पर आते हैं. और लार्जेस्ट चंक ऑफ पॉपुलेशन, 100,000 PhDs, 100,000 PhDs आर वर्किंग इन सेमीकंडक्टर इंडस्ट्री इन कर्नाटका. कहाँ से आ रहे हैं सब? ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? ये नंबर्स थोड़े से आपको दे रहा हूँ और मेरा थोड़ा समय लगेगा. मैं आपसे विनती करता हूँ, मुझे रोकिएगा मत, बिकॉज मैं ना आज इमोशनली बात करना चाहता हूँ आपके साथ, राइट? क्योंकि देयर समथिंग विच इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस टू अंडरस्टैंड एंड कनेक्ट. क्यों हो रहा है ऐसे? 100,000 PhD स्कॉलर्स सेमीकंडक्टर इंडस्ट्री में काम कर रहे हैं. विश्व में बैंगलोर पिछले साल 21वीं रैंकिंग पे था इनोवेशन इंडेक्स के ऊपर, स्टार्टअप एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप के ऊपर. हमने एक साल के अंदर 21 से 14वीं पदवी हासिल की है और अभी आशा है कि हम अपनी टॉप 5 में पहुंच जाएंगे. विश्व के टेक क्लस्टर्स अगर हम देखें विश्व में, तो बैंगलोर जो है वो चौथी पोजीशन पे आता है एज अ टेक क्लस्टर्स। ये सब ऐसा क्या है? क्या सिर्फ सॉइल ऐसी है, वेदर ऐसा है, या कुछ और ही चीज़ है वहाँ पे? फिर आपको मैं एक और स्टैटिस्टिक्स देता हूँ। तकरीबन करीब 1800 के आसपास एआई के स्टार्टअप्स हैं कर्नाटका में, लार्जेस्ट हैं, और उसमें से पिछले साल उन्होंने करीब $2.98 बिलियन रेज किया है फंड। क्यों? क्या हमारे पास एंटरप्रेन्योर्स और जगह नहीं है? क्या उत्तर प्रदेश में नहीं है? क्या ऐसा चीज़ है आईआईटी कानपुर, बैंगलोर में आईआईटी नहीं है? आईआईटी धारवाड़ जरूर खुला है एक हमारा, पर आईआईटी नहीं है वहाँ पे। ऐसा क्या है? तो दोस्तों, इसमें एक कहानी है। कहानी तकरीबन करीब 100 साल पुरानी है, और मैं आपको चर्चा करना चाहता हूँ, और मेरा उससे रिलेशनशिप कैसे बना वही बताता हूँ। 1916 में बनारस हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी सेटअप हुई थी, और वो सिर्फ बैगिंग से सेटअप हुई थी। पैसा मांग मांग के लोगों से बनाया गया था उस यूनिवर्सिटी को। बड़ी टेक यूनिवर्सिटी, मैं बहुत प्राउड फील करता हूँ उस यूनिवर्सिटी से पास आउट हूँ। सिर्फ 3 साल गुजारे थे मैंने वहाँ पे बस, लेकिन आई स्टिल फील वेरी प्राउड, एंड आई मेक श्योर दैट आई एटलीस्ट सेकंड और थर्ड टाइम आई गो देयर एंड जस्ट टेक ब्लेसिंग्स ऑफ लॉर्ड विश्वनाथ। हाउएवर, 1916 से लेकर द फर्स्ट largest donation given to the BHU University was the Maharaja of Mysore. And the first chancellor of this university was the Maharaja of Mysore. And at that point of time, the kingdom of Karnataka was none else than the state of Mysore. वो इंसान मैसूर में बैठ के उत्तर प्रदेश में एक अच्छी सी टेक्निकल यूनिवर्सिटी खड़ा करता है, और साथ में उसी समय मैसूर में भी एक टेक्निकल यूनिवर्सिटी खड़ा करता है, जिसकी बिल्डिंग का आर्किटेक्चर और पेंट का कलर एग्जैक्टली सेम है जो बनारस में है और जो मैसूर में है, एग्जैक्टली सेम। यानी कि एक इंसान था हमारे देश में जो बहुत विजनरी था। वो अपने सिर्फ स्टेट की बात नहीं कर रहा था, वो अपने देश की बात कर रहा था, और वो बहुत प्रगतिशील था। वो इंसान 1930 में एक ग्लोबल एग्जीबिशन लगाता है एग्रीकल्चर टूल्स के ऊपर। कहां पर? मैसूर में, कि विदेश के लोग आए और बताएं कि वो कौन सी टेक्नोलॉजी का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं एग्रीकल्चर के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से। 1930 में ग्लोबल एग्जीबिशन की कंसेप्ट लेके आना, ये कहाँ का थॉट है? और उस समय वो बोलते हैं कि हमें एक अपनी विश्व की यूनिवर्सिटी बनानी है कर्नाटका के अंदर भी। 500 एकड़ की जमीन निकाल के देते हैं टाटास को, अब बोलते हैं यहाँ बनाइए इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ साइंसेस। एक समय ऐसा था वहाँ पे कि 14 इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज हुआ करते थे, और 13 इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज प्राइवेट थे और 1 सरकारी था। क्यों? द एक्सपर्टीज, नॉलेज, प्रोफेशनलिज्म, विजडम comes from the industry. We need to respect that. Bottom line approach ये था। उस इंडस्ट्री को रिस्पेक्ट करते हुए बनाया गया उसको, और स्टार्ट हुआ क्या जर्नी? हमारे देश से जो सबसे अच्छे टैलेंट हुआ करते थे, उनको लगता था अगर पढ़ाई करने कहीं जाना है तो कहाँ जाना है? कर्नाटक जैसी जगह में जाना है। मणिपाल इंस्टीट्यूट became one of the best institute also. Why? Private institution है वो, just because it was given that professional approach. No hindrance from understanding that, hey, only I know how to run the institutions, which is the entity like a government के run वाला institutions के द्वारा. It's not the case. The private industries and the private collaborations actually helps us to strengthen the ecosystem of talent. तो मैं कहानी स्टार्ट कर रहा था 1930 के बाद से जब स्टार्ट हुआ, ये बनना स्टार्ट हुआ, तो वह आपके पास एक टैलेंट वर्ल्ड का, इंडिया का स्पेशली आना स्टार्ट हुआ। चाहे वो उत्तर प्रदेश से हो, चाहे बिहार से हो, चाहे वो केरला से हो, ऑस्ट्रेलिया आंध्र प्रदेश से हो, सबको चाहिए था कि हम पढ़ाई कहाँ करेंगे, तो बैंगलोर में करेंगे, अगर उनको किसी आईआईटी में एडमिशन नहीं मिल रहा है तो। उस जर्नी के साथ चलते चलते क्या हुआ? इंडिपेंडेंस के बाद, उससे पहले पावर प्लांट्स, मॉडर्न इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ऑन द रोड्स, सेफ्टी एंड सिक्योरिटी, इंडस्ट्रियल डेवलपमेंट। हिंदुस्तान एरोनॉटिक लिमिटेड हमारे देश की सबसे बड़ी पब्लिक सेक्टर कंपनी है जो एरोस्पेस में काम करती है। उसकी बुनियाद महाराजा ऑफ मैसूर ने रखी थी। आप जितनी बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस की देखेंगे वो सारी बाद में क्या हुआ, सारी हमारी पब्लिक सेक्टर यूनिट्स बन गई एज अ गवर्नमेंट एंटिटी। इन दैट सिनेरियो, अगर मैं समय ले रहा हूं तो प्लीज मुझे बोल दीजिएगा। आई अंडरस्टैंड सर, आई अंडरस्टैंड, बट I'm allowed to take this time?
Now you are free.
Yeah. Thank you.
इस बीच में एक काम करो, हमारे चीफ गेस्ट, चीफ कीनोट स्पीकर किरण चेरुपी, I think that he has come.
Yes, sir.
Please come here, sir. You want to sit here? You want to sit here or you want to sit there?
Anyway, sir, wherever you want.
चलिए आपको बगल में वहाँ बैठिए।
इंडस्ट्रियल डेवलपमेंट्स बहुत सारा हुआ वहाँ पे, इन्वेस्टमेंट्स हुए सब बड़े लोगों के हिसाब से, और वो टैलेंट जो निकल के बाहर आ रहा था हमारे देश का, वो वहाँ पे आके उसमें कंज्यूम होना स्टार्ट हुआ। कहते हैं कि अगर आप सुबह सो के उठेंगे और जब रात में सोएंगे तो पूरे दिन भर में 24 घंटे में जिस जिस चीज़ की आपको ज़रूरत पड़ेगी उसकी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, उसकी सर्विसेज हम अपने प्रदेश से कर रहे थे अपने सिटीजन्स के लिए। यह है कहानी 1930 से लेकर 1955 तक की। Everything which you require, from a matchsticks to an agarbatti, to your textile, to your silk, to your cosmetics, everything was manufactured in the state. ये विजन था, ये विजनरी थिंकिंग अराउंड थी। उसके बाद जब पब्लिक सेक्टर आना स्टार्ट हुए तो उनको लगा कि जो टॉप टैलेंट है रिसर्च का वो कहाँ पर है, क्योंकि वो सब इंस्टीट्यूशन वहाँ पे ऑलरेडी सेटअप हो चुके थे, तो वो टॉप टैलेंट वहीं पर आ रहा था। तो इसके बाद भारत इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स लिमिटेड, भारत हैवी इलेक्ट्रिकल्स लिमिटेड, भारत अर्थमूव्स लिमिटेड, जितने भी DRDO, इसरो, जितने भी रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूशंस बने, वो सारे के सारे गढ़ जो है वो कर्नाटका बैंगलोर में बनने लगे। और उससे क्या हुआ, साइंटिस्ट की कम्युनिटी अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड एंड अक्रॉस द इंडिया स्टार्टेड कमिंग टू दैट प्लेस। अब वो कनाडा नहीं है, वो कनाडा के रहने वाले नहीं है, लेकिन अब वो अपने आप को बैंगलोरियन जरूर बोलने लगे। और उस बैंगलोरियन बोलने से क्या निकल के बाहर आया कि उनके जो बच्चे हुए उन्होंने सिर्फ वही देखा जो उन्हें दिखाई दे रहा था। द जनरेशन स्टार्टेड मूविंग टूवर्ड्स द डायरेक्शन ऑफ टेक, एंड 1955 से लेकर 1975 तक ये जर्नी सेकेंड जनरेशन पे जाती मूव चली गई। द साइंटिस्ट कम्युनिटीज एंड देयर किड्स स्टार्टेड बिकमिंग टेक प्लेयर्स। और उस समय बावाला है हमारे पास एक IT इंडस्ट्री का, और IT इंडस्ट्री में जो बड़े से बड़े लोग निकल के बाहर आए वो उन्हीं के बच्चे थे जो बाहर से बाहर निकल के आ रहे थे। एंड दे स्टार्टेड अंडरस्टैंडिंग द टेक मच फास्टर देन द टेक व्हिच वाज अंडरस्टूड अक्रॉस द कंट्री एज वेल। और उस समझदारी के बेसिस पे हमारे पास लार्जेस्ट बेस ऑफ द टेक्निकल यूनिवर्सिटी स्टार्टेड कमिंग इन प्लेस एंड लार्जेस्ट बेस ऑफ टेक्निकल इंडस्ट्री स्टार्टेड कमिंग इन प्लेस। इन्फोसिस ले लीजिए आप, विप्रो ले लीजिए, एवरीबडी स्टार्टेड सेटिंग अप देयर ऑपरेशंस एंड ग्रोइंग फ्रॉम दैट प्लेस। तो पहली ईमेल जो हमारी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने निकाली थी STPI की तरफ से गेटवे बना के, वो भी बैंगलोर से निकली थी। द फर्स्ट वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस विद द प्राइम मिनिस्टर डिड वाज इन बैंगलोर। ये जर्नी पिछले 40-50 साल की चल रही थी, जो आपको लगता है कि वहां पे हमने स्टार्ट किया। इसमें एक कॉमन थ्रेड बहुत निकल के बाहर आ रहा था। वी हैव टू रिस्पेक्ट इंडस्ट्री एज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट प्लेयर इन दिस इकोसिस्टम। हमारे पास अगर इंडस्ट्री के प्रति नॉलेज है और इंडस्ट्री हमारे साथ कोलैबोरेट करता है तभी हम इस पर उन्नति कर सकते हैं, वरना हम नहीं कर सकते। मतलब कर सकते हैं पता नहीं, पर हमने वो दिशा देखी कि उसमें वही निकल के बाहर आता है। उसके बाद जब इंडस्ट्री निकल के बाहर आई तो जो उनके जो PSUs में काम कर रहे थे उनके लड़के वगैरह जो लड़कियां थी वो बाहर आई और वो इंटरप्रेन्योरशिप की जर्नी स्टार्ट की कि हम क्या बना के उनको दे सकते हैं। क्या हम एक छोटा सा रजिस्टर बना सकते हैं, क्या हम थोड़ा फैब्रिकेशन बना सकते हैं, और उसके बेसिस पे वो सप्लाई होना स्टार्ट हुआ। इंटरप्रेन्योरशिप की भूमिका वहाँ से जागृत थी। 2016 में हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने बोला कि हम स्टार्टअप इंडिया स्टार्ट करेंगे। इसको उन्होंने क्या दिया, उन्होंने एक मूवमेंट दे दिया, पर इस मूवमेंट की जो छोटे छोटे कण थे वो हमारे देश में कहीं ना कहीं से पैदा हो रहे थे, और उसमें से एक कण जो है वो कर्नाटका से पैदा हो रहा था, जो कि थोड़ा सा बबल की तरह था। ये इंटरप्रेन्योरशिप की जर्नी वहाँ से चालू हुई कि हमारे पास है, और दूसरा इंटरप्रेन्योरशिप की जर्नी चालू हुई कि जो सबसे बड़ा काम होता है कि अगर आप कोई चीज़ बनाते हैं तो उसको टेस्ट कहाँ करोगे आप, और आपको चाहिए टेस्ट डाइवर्सिफाइड, आपको चाहिए टेस्ट जो क्लाइंट आपका बड़ा ओपन है कि हम इसको आई वुड लाइक टू टेस्ट दिस अराउंड दिस सॉल्यूशन, मे बी जस्ट लेट मी ट्राई दिस आउट। ओपननेस चाहिए आपका। वो ओपननेस और डाइवर्सिफिकेशन ऑफ द क्लाइंटेज बेस वाज अवेलेबल इन द प्लेस कॉल कर्नाटका एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम। मैं बात कर रहा हूँ सन 1990 के और 2000 के बाद की बात किया। ये जर्नी निकलते निकलते आज यहाँ तक पहुँची है कि टुडे आप सोमवार को अगर आप बैंगलोर में आते हैं, आप अनजान भी होंगे, आपके पहला एक मिलेगा, एक से आप 10 लोग मिलेंगे, और फ्राइडे तक आप किसी पब में बैठ के पक्का कहीं ना कहीं बैठ के एंजॉय कर रहे होंगे. दिस इज द कल्चर विच हैज बीन डेवलप्ड. In fact, this whole journey has reached a stage that understanding of how a state like us, our Uttar Pradesh, can also look into a different level. The steering of the, अभी हमने बात कर रहे थे, डिजिटल इकोनॉमी एडवाइजरी ग्रुप बनाई है आलोक जी ने. उन्होंने सारे सबसे अच्छे लोग उन्होंने लिए हैं वहाँ से. This is the first, I want to congratulate you, Alok ji. This is the amazing step, but treat them as your board of directors. Don't take them as an advisory. Take their advices very seriously and report to them that what you have achieved out of this, what you are doing the exercise out of this. The reason being because करीब 2 दशक पहले विजन ग्रुप स्टार्ट हुए कर्नाटका में. IT GCC का विजन ग्रुप लेड बाय क्रिस गोपालकृष्णन, बायोटेक का विजन ग्रुप लेड बाय किरण मधुमजा शाह, विजन ग्रुप ऑफ स्टार्टअप्स लेड बाय प्रशांत प्रकाश. और ये विजन ग्रुप चेयर करते हैं इंडस्ट्री, और हमारे जो सेक्रेटरीज होते हैं वो बैठते हैं साथ में एज अ मेंबर. एंड वॉट एवर डिसीजन हैपन्स इन दैट विजन ग्रुप इज एग्जीक्यूटेड एग्जैक्टली इन द सेम वे, एंड वी रिपोर्ट बैक टू द विजन ग्रुप हाउ वी हैव परफॉर्म, व्हाट वी हैव डन, व्हाट वी हैव नॉट डन. वी टेक इट वेरी सीरियसली. और उस सीरियसनेस का क्या आता है कि जो इंसान जो खड़ा होता है वो सोचता है कि ये मेरा है काम है, दिस मेरा एडवाइजरी नहीं है, आई एम ओनिंग दिस पार्ट. और अगर कल के दिन ये परफॉर्म नहीं करेगा तो मेरे पर आएगी बात. तो किरण मधुमजा शाह के ऊपर बड़ा प्रेशर होता है कि बायोटेक अगर 26% है तो वो 40% कैसे पहुंचेगा. ये जो ओनरशिप है, ये जो स्टीयरिंग व्हील पे जो बैठे हैं, जो ड्राइवर कर रहे हैं, और सरकार को बैठना है बगल वाली सीट पे. इस जर्नी में अभी पिछले 10 सालों में एक बहुत बड़ा चेंज लेके आए वहां पे. वो लेके आए चेंज अबाउट दी सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस. सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस कहने बड़ा सिंपल लगता है, पर अगर सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस अगर वर्ल्ड क्लास नहीं है तो उसका कोई मतलब नहीं होता कि वो सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस भी रह सकता है. सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस रिक्वायर्स कपल ऑफ थिंग्स. ऑब्वियसली द इन्वेस्टमेंट इज रिक्वायर्ड, बट मोर इंपॉर्टेंट इज व्हाट एग्जैक्टली द सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस विल डू. 21 सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस हैं. वन ऑफ द लार्जेस्ट सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस ऑन AI supported by Government of India and state government is in Bangalore, called Art Park. रोबोटिक्स, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस का एक बहुत बड़ा सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस है. करता क्या है सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस? 3 दिशाओं में काम करता है. नंबर पहला काम करता है कि हमारे एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को लेके, नॉलेज इंडस्ट्री के साथ लेके उनको जोड़ता है. दूसरा डिफाइन करता है कि किस तरह की स्किल्स की जरूरत है, जो स्किल्स हमारे आने वाले समय में हमारे इंडस्ट्री को लगेगी उस पर्टिकुलर डोमेन के लिए. उसका कॉन्टेंट, उसका करिकुलम, उसकी स्टाइल ऑफ ट्रेनिंग, वो सब निकाल के लेके आता है. और तीसरा जो सबसे अच्छा काम करता है, जो और इंडस्ट्रीज कैसे यूज करेंगी इस चीज को, कहाँ लेके जाएंगे इसको, उसको निकाल के लेके आता है. ये एक बहुत ही बड़ा मूवमेंट है और इसमें 100 करोड़ रुपए खर्च हुए हैं. अभी रिसेंटली हमने IIT Alumni के साथ एक सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस साइन किया. 30 करोड़ रुपए का हमने उनके साथ एग्रीमेंट साइन किया है कर्नाटका गवर्नमेंट ने. और किसके ऊपर? AI के ऊपर. AI के ऊपर इटसेल्फ 3 सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस है. साइबर सिक्योरिटी, एरोस्पेस, डिफेंस, फार्मास्यूटिकल, एग्रीकल्चर, मोबिलिटी, IoT. यू टेक द नेम ऑफ द सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंसेस. एंड आलोक जी, मेरा आपसे निवेदन रहेगा, आप कभी आइए और सिर्फ हमारे साथ वॉक कीजिए. द रीजन बीइंग बिकॉज जब तक हम रियलिटी में देखेंगे नहीं ना, हमें पता नहीं चलेगा कि वो क्या है. तो मेरा निवेदन है, आप और आपके साथ जुड़े हुए जो भी लोग हैं कुछ समय निकालें और मैं आपको होस्ट करता हूँ. आई टेक यू टू दीज प्लेसेस. मीट द इंडस्ट्री एज वेल. इंडस्ट्री से मिलते कैसे? हम इंडस्ट्री के पास, हमारे पास इंडस्ट्री नहीं आती है, हम इंडस्ट्री के पास मिलने खुद उनके ऑफिस जाते हैं और उनसे बात करते हैं. देयर इज नथिंग कॉल, बिकॉज इट्स को पार्टनरशिप. अगर वो इकोनॉमी नहीं चलाते तो शायद हमारी तनख्वाह भी नहीं आ रही होती. वी अंडरस्टैंड दिस पार्ट वेरी क्लियरली एंड वी गिव अ रिस्पेक्ट टू द इंडस्ट्री, एंड दैट्स वेयर द मैजिक इज. In the stakeholders, academic institutions become very important. The center of excellence is always located in these very important academic institutions. और उसमें इंडस्ट्री का होना बहुत जरूरी है और सरकार का ऐसा जस्ट इनेबल होना जरूरी. सरकार कंट्रोल नहीं करती, सरकार डिसाइड नहीं करती, उस तरह से निकल के बाहर आता है. अभी पिछले 5 सालों में तकरीबन 3.5-4 सालों में हमने एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट मिशन चालू किया वहाँ पे, उसे कहते हैं बियॉन्ड बैंगलोर मिशन। हाउ कैन वी क्रिएट मोर बैंगलोर आउटसाइड बैंगलोर। मैसूर, मैंगलोर, हुबली, बेलगांव, धारवाड़, ये कैसे बन सकते हैं एक ग्रोथ इंजन के हब्स। और ग्रोथ इंजन के हब्स सब बनते हैं जब आपको ये मालूम पड़ेगा कि आपका क्लाइंट कौन है। क्लाइंट इंडस्ट्री है मेरा। अगर मेरा क्लाइंट इंडस्ट्री है तो इंडस्ट्री जो है वो सामान खरीदेगा, मेरा शहर खरीदेगा। अगर मेरे शहर के अंदर फीचर्स एज अ प्रोडक्ट अच्छे हैं, बिकने वाले हैं, तो वरना नहीं खरीदेगा। वो जाएगा कहीं और जाएगा, वो लखनऊ जाएगा, भगवान करे और जाए। लेकिन एट द एंड ऑफ द डे हमें हमारे किसी भी शहर को अगर बेचना है तो हमें उसका प्रोडक्ट डिफाइन करना पड़ेगा, उसके फीचर्स डिफाइन करने पड़ेंगे, और प्रोडक्ट के टेक्नोलॉजिकल जो आर्किटेक्ट है वो डिफाइन करने। कौन है प्रोडक्ट के टेक्निकल जो। अगर हम बात करें मैसूर में, तो मैसूर के जो लोकल इंडस्ट्री लीडर्स हैं वो उसके टेक्नोलॉजी के आर्किटेक्ट हैं, क्योंकि वो पिछले सेकेंड जनरेशन और थर्ड जनरेशन और फर्स्ट जनरेशन के लोग आज उसको चला रहे हैं, उस इकोनॉमी को। तो हम उनको लेके आते हैं, उनको बनाते हैं हमारा इंडस्ट्री एंकर्स। हम उनसे बोलते हैं अब आप हमें बताइए कि हम इस शहर को कैसे आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं। आई ट्रीट देम एज माई बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स ऑफ माई कंपनी कॉल मैसूर। उसके बाद चालू होता है कहानी कि हमें कैसे करना है इसमें, और वहां से प्योरली प्योर को ओनरशिप स्टार्ट होती है। हमारे प्रोडक्ट के फीचर्स होते हैं, हमारे कैसा इकोसिस्टम है हमारे शहर के अंदर, सोशल और आईटी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर या इंडस्ट्री का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कैसा है, टैलेंट का सप्लाई कैसा है, स्टार्टअप का इकोसिस्टम कैसा है। वहाँ पे जब वो डिफाइन करते हैं तब हम डिफाइन करते हैं कि अच्छा यहाँ पे गैप आ रहा है। एक काम करते हैं, सेंटर ऑफ एक्सेलेंस साइबर सिक्योरिटी के यहाँ पे ओपन कराते हैं। साइबर सिक्योरिटी के बजाय सेमीकंडक्टर का एक और ओपन कराते हैं और उसकी कहानी बनाते हैं पूरी। और फिर हम जैसे लोग कहने के लिए सरकारी हैं, 1998 में मैंने गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ज्वाइन किया था, कहने के लिए सरकारी हैं, कुछ प्राइवेट में भी काम किया, तनख्वाह भी लेते हैं सरकार से, पर हम सेल्समैन हैं। हम ब्रीफकेस उठाते हैं, हम लोगों से बात करते हैं और उन्हें कन्विंस करने की कोशिश करते हैं कि ये जगह आपके लिए लाभदायक है, आपके पीएनएल में इतना इम्पैक्ट आएगा, आपके टैलेंट पे इतना इम्पैक्ट आएगा। हम आपको ग्लोबल मार्केट एक्सेस भी दिलाते हैं। अगर आपको लगता है कि आपके प्रोडक्ट को हम ऑस्ट्रेलिया में लेके जाएं तो हम आपके साथ चलेंगे लेके। ये जर्नी है साथ चलने की, ये दिखाती है व्हाट वी वांट टू मेक इट हैपन। और उसके जरिए पिछले 3.5 सालों में आई एम वेरी प्राउड 100+ कंपनीज हैव सेट अप देयर ऑपरेशंस इन दीज 3 लोकेशंस अलोन। 100+। और अकेडमिक इंस्टीट्यूशन को मैं आप बोलता हूँ साफ साफ, आप एक बिल्डिंग खड़ा कीजिए 40,000 स्क्वायर फीट की और 1 साल के लिए रेंट फ्री, ओनली इलेक्ट्रिसिटी चार्ज पे करना है, कंपनी मैं लेके आऊँगा। कोलैबोरेट करते हैं साथ में मिलकर। दिस इज द स्पिरिट वी नीड। हम प्रॉमिस तो कर देते हैं पर कंपनी लाना बहुत मुश्किल होता है। लेकिन यस, 1000 की पाइपलाइन में 100 तो निकल के बाहर आए। और लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, हमारा एक पीएनएल है, सीआरएम चलता है हमारा, हमारी डील है, सरकार के अंदर भी हम लोग काम करते हैं बिल्कुल डील की तरह। उसके स्टेजेस हैं, 10 स्टेजेस में जाके अप्रूव होता है हमारा वो फाइनली। और हम ट्रैक करते हैं कि एक डील को कि वो कहाँ पर किस समय बॉटलनेक है। और कई जगह तो हमारे सीईओज हमें फ़ोन का रिस्पॉन्ड भी नहीं करते, हमारी ईमेल का जवाब ही नहीं देते। तो कोई ईगो नहीं है, वो क्लाइंट नहीं तो कोई दूसरा क्लाइंट सही, दूसरा नहीं तो तीसरा सही, पर निकल के बाहर आता है। अगर मुझे मौका लगे तो मेरा आपसे एक निवेदन रहेगा आलोक जी, हमें ना एक ऐसी टीम चाहिए उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर जिसके अंदर सिर्फ सेल्स माइंडसेट है, जिसके अंदर ये दिखाई देता है कि हमें हमारे देश के अंदर और हमारे प्रदेश के अंदर हम कैसे इसको उत्तम पे लेकर आ सकते हैं और उसकी बॉटलनेक्स कहाँ कहाँ पे। अगर आप कानपुर ले लीजिए, मैं अपना शहर भी लेता हूँ, झांसी ले लीजिए, लखनऊ ले लीजिए, गोरखपुर ले लीजिए, बनारस ले लीजिए, आपके पास 6 और 7 इंपॉर्टेंट क्लस्टर्स निकलेंगे बाहर और हर एक क्लस्टर का एक अपना यूनिकनेस है। और जब आप इन्वेस्टर, आज के समय का जो इन्वेस्टर है वो ये नहीं देख रहा है कि आपकी पॉलिसी कितनी अच्छी है, बिल्कुल नहीं देख रहा है, वो सिर्फ आपकी 3 चीज़ देख रहा है। नंबर पहला, एग्जिस्टिंग इंडस्ट्री का इकोसिस्टम कैसा है, दूसरा देख रहा है वहाँ पर टैलेंट कैसा है, और तीसरा देख रहा है स्टार्टअप का इनोवेशन इकोसिस्टम कैसा है। अगर इन तीनों पे हम टिक मार्क हैं, बहुत स्ट्रेंथली दिखा सकते हैं। और उसकी जर्नी है, हमें तय करनी पड़ेगी, सबको अपने स्लीव्स ऊपर करने पड़ेंगे और शायद पानी में उतरने के लिए पैंट भी ऊपर करना पड़ेगा। और अगर करने को तैयार हैं तो उत्तर प्रदेश के लिए जर्नी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो सकती है। मेरा निवेदन रहेगा कि इसको थोड़ा सा जागृत बनाइए। मुझे कोई दिक्कत नहीं है अपना वॉलंटियर टाइम देने के लिए, लेकिन ये समय आ गया जिसमें कि अब उत्तर प्रदेश को उत्तम प्रदेश बनना पड़ेगा। no matter what. We have to make it happen. बहुत समय लिया आपका, बहुत खुल के बोलने की कोशिश की है, और जितना बन पड़ेगा उतना कोशिश करेंगे करने के लिए. लेकिन धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for your inspiring words. And ladies and gentlemen, we would now like to welcome Mr. Kiran Cherukuri, Executive VP, HCL Tech, and Global GCC Practice Leader. He is here with us. I would like to request Mr. Sunil Singhal to kindly felicitate him. I would now like to invite Mr. Jayashankar Sharma to kindly introduce and invite Mr. Kiran Cherukuri.
It was very tough time to select a keynote speaker. And we just started listing who will be the best kind of thing. So who we could not bring here, maafi chahta hun. Kiran Cherukuri has done wonderful job at various forums, at NASCOM and other places. In HCL Tech, he is, yaar main dekhna padega zara. HCL Tech, he is Global GCC Practice Leader. And he is also the founder and CEO of Tech Era. And you are advising growth stage companies on a strategy, business growth, operations, etc., mergers, acquisitions and all. And basically we are requesting you to bring, you are already near KDM, you bring along with you other GCCs also. So HCL Tech is already one major GCC in Uttar Pradesh, and I think that should I request you to bring 10 or 15 more in the next. So with that intention, you kindly.
Thank you, Jayashankar ji. So while the laptop getting set up, am I audible? Okay, thank you. So I think Sanjeev ji, actually he has stolen a lot of whatever I thought. Probably I'm giving a story, but I think he has given a template of Karnataka. But fortunately, I am his neighbor. I come from Andhra Pradesh, and erstwhile Andhra Pradesh, and then now the Telangana. We seem to have emulated the template which he was talking about in terms of how to bring industry together, how to bring industry and academia together, how to co-create value along with them, to be able to actually attract the industry out there. So I think I wouldn't actually compete with him, but definitely I think we are at some size of you at this point of time when it comes to the GCCs and then IT industry out there. With that context, and then I also have very close association compared to any of our industry peers with the UP government and then Uttar Pradesh per se. We are the only large IT services player who started our journey from Uttar Pradesh. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, right. Yeah. Can I request you, sir? So, we have close to 45,000, 45,000 people working in NCR region, and then here in Lucknow we have around 12,000 people. So that way, among our industry peers, I think we are the pretty early entrants into UP, and then our bit of, I think, aided to the economic growth of the entire Uttar Pradesh, and then we are committed to this. I think a few weeks back, I have actually discussed with Mr. Vijay Kiran Anand, and then he was also asking that like, how can we, I think service providers we are trying to attract, but how do you guys help us in terms of bringing GCCs? Okay, and I'm sure I think Sanjeev ji, anyway, I think there is a template put together. So I give some statistics now and also make some points how academia can help in terms of attracting the industry out here. So let me go through here. 1800 is the total number of GCCs. It is without we service providers realizing that 40% of the entire workforce in India is working now in the GCCs. What we earlier thought was IT industry is the largest, but I think GCCs are actually very close second. So 2+ million professionals are working. 55% of the global GCCs are in India right now, right? And $68 billion of the contribution that they are making. This is a direct contribution. The reasons why, the key growth drivers, so 1,77,000 startups. I think Sanjeev ji mentioned this, out of which I think X percentage you said are funded and the rest are not funded. But that's the ecosystem which is already available. 5,800 deep tech ventures, especially in the AI, IoT, blockchain, right? And then two clear destinations. One is Karnataka, the second one is Telangana now, probably, right? So those are the places where majority of them are there. Cost competitiveness, definitely the talent cost competitiveness is 30 to 50% less than, but I think that's fast growing up. I think that competitiveness actually thinning down with actually majority of the companies are going after. So let's look at the IITs. I think IITs produce close to around 20,000, give or take, I think, right? Engineers every year. Everybody is competing for them. So that's where the advantage, cost advantage is thinning down. So government initiatives, so we're talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat or Make in India, right? And then investment in digital infrastructure. So we are the largest digital infrastructure in the world at this point of time, right? And I am on the board of National GCC Task Force constituted by CII, and working very closely with them. And then we have defined a national level framework for the GCC to incentivize GCCs to come into India. We have also defined a state level framework, and then I'm sure I think already government of Uttar Pradesh would have got that state level framework. So in line with more or less, I think the incentives around employment creation, training and development, certifications, right, and then incentives on the land, and then reimbursements on the taxes which state could do. So more or less everything looks same, every state is competing. But what differentiates is what Sanjeev said. That's the one which basically, so looking at industry is the prime, enabling them, and then government playing an enabler role is something which is very, very important. So while the initiatives are going on, and then in addition to that, infrastructure and connectivity definitely is important, right? And then you saw that like 5G rollout, 99.6% of the districts have got 5G. And talent availability, global STEM talent, 2.1 million STEM graduates are there. So #1 global AI skill penetration, 35% of the female participation in the GCCs. This is a little more drill down on it. So the GCCs are expected to grow at 9 to 10% year on year. So I'll mind you that traditional IT outsourcing is growing at mid-single digits in the last 3 years, whereas the GCCs are growing at 9 to 10%. So almost the double growth that which we are seeing in the GCC market. The number of employees, you're talking about 2.5 to 2.8 million, currently at 1.8, 1.9 million. Number of GCC units. So there are actually two perspectives when you wanted to attract the GCCs. The tier 1 centers would attract the first time whoever wants to come to India. Probably it may be difficult for emerging destinations to be able to compete with the tier 1 6 cities, but the there is always an opportunity to be able to attract the expanding units. So there is every quarter, from now, next 20 quarters, at least 60 to 75 GCC units are moving to the emerging centers. That's a great opportunity for the clusters that which you're talking about, especially Lucknow and then Kanpur region that which UP government want to develop, and then GCC expansions could be a good sweet spot for you to focus on, right? And then there are, when it comes to the innovation ecosystem that which we are talking about, right? There are 70 plus mega GCCs in India, each with 5K plus employees. These are the ones who are spending on R&D, co-innovation, co-creation, wanting to collaborate with the premier institutions. So drop the list of these 70, and they are the people who are going to actually fund your research and then be able to fund your startups and then collaborate and then co-create. Most mega GCCs have spent at least 2 decades in India. 90% of the GCCs are in the higher stages of maturity, and then they are the ones like who are trying to become the innovation hubs for their parent headquarters. So I remember in 2003, I was a program manager to transition some of the Microsoft services from Redmond to Hyderabad. I started with 9 people, moving from Redmond to Hyderabad in cyber towers. And then it took just 36 months from there to be able to have at least 1,500 people working out of the client outside of the client premises, and then supporting entire their data center services, their network services, and then their all application support services, right? So it took almost like 20-25 years for this GCC industry to be matured. So we used to call them as India captives. India captives have become GICs, Global In-House Centers. GICs have become GTCs. GTCs all become now the GCCs. The C is also being debated. Should we call it as a competency center or a global capability center? So while it is evolving, but the reason why they came here in the wave 1, the first wave, is primarily to ensure their cost gets restructured over the back office functions. That's how which the journey had started. So I'll take you through some of these. This is the strategic vision that objectives set by Government of India, national and also this is national policy on GCC. The aspiration is to have actually 5,000 GCCs, and then with a gross value add impact of 470 to 600 billion, overall employment impact of 20 to 25 million. So this happens actually every one direct employment, tech industry creates another 2 or 3 indirect employment. So that's total put together is 20 to 25 million total employment, and then value increase, gross value increase per employee is 20 to 30%. So this is the overall opportunity for the country. And then there are several states are competing in terms of devising the incentives and the policies conducive enough for and various other initiatives that they are taking actually to improve the skill and then also provide forums to be able to engage these GCCs. So Uttar Pradesh definitely have to look at this broader picture. And then when it comes to service, I represent one of the service providers, right? HCL Technologies. What is HCL Technologies or TCS or an Infosys or a Cognizant? The initial 1,800 GCCs that we are talking about, at least 50% of them are brought by these service providers to the country, primarily. So we are called industrializers. So what we do is actually any vertical that which you take, any micro vertical you take, for an example, BFSI, banking, finance, and insurance sector is there. So when it goes to the banking, there is a retail banking, there is a corporate banking. These are the micro verticals. So each of these companies service at least 10 to 15 different such micro vertical centric companies. So we understand the deep domain of those organizations, right? So that we act as cross pollinators, and then we act as industrializers, and then we act as a value multipliers. So service providers also have seen GCCs as a huge opportunity to co-create value, and currently HCL Tech close to support 250 GCCs in various stages, right? So how we could help is primarily enhance that, like we have a campus out here in Lucknow, right? So we are already anchoring at least 4 or 5 GCC operations out here. And then we could actually bring more and more GCC expansions into the emerging cities, right? That's how which service providers will be able to help. This is how the acceleration happened. So the initial years, it was financial services companies. I remember I was the delivery head way back in 2004 for Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase and Deutsche Bank, who just came into India those days from HCL. So since then, I think next tech intensive industries, then retail and CPG, manufacturing, pharma and healthcare. So these are the sector by sector queuing up to set up their GCCs in India. It's not that India is the only destination because of the geopolitical other risks. Then they are also looking at Latin America plus India, Eastern Europe plus India. But definitely India is one of the major destinations because the scale of skill that which we have is almost 10 times to the next destination that they compare with. So obviously I think India becomes the indispensable destination for the GCCs. These are some of the early GCCs that which we have helped: State Street, Wells Fargo, USA, UBS, Citi, all of those. And then some of the tech GCCs, Microsoft, Google, Meta, GCCs with other verticals, life sciences, manufacturing, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now taking a little deep dive into, so there are 2 waves of the GCCs. The wave 1 that which you see, initially they have set up here for the operational efficiencies, and then the back office support, okay, and then talent acquisition, certain core talent acquisition, whether it could be analytic skills or data skills and so on and so forth. So you can imagine that like the wave 1 is before COVID, you can think of, right? And then wave 2 is post-COVID. So here what they are talking about is advanced skills, innovation, and then middle office transformation or a front office transformation. So what happens in these areas, primarily their business transformation is attempted by most of these GCCs. So initially what happens, the resource cost at overseas destination, whether it could be Europe or USA, which is 3 times India, so the business case is very strong for them. The initial years of a GCC sustenance out here, and then a very strong business case, they can cut down their expenses 30-40%. But what happens after the 2nd and 3rd year, right? The base becomes India cost base. So when you compare next year, what do you want to achieve? Obviously, it has to be innovation centric. You need to be able to add new services, new products, help them, the parent organization grow, rather than talking about the cost structure. So the wave 2 of the GCCs is primarily talking about innovation, articulating that like what more that they could do from sitting in India to their headquarters. That is where there is an opportunity for the academic institutions which has a strong innovation ecosystem and a startup ecosystem to be able to collaborate with these GCCs and then try and then co-create along with them to meet their objectives, right? So that's an opportunity. So there are 4 mega trends that we are seeing: AI and then automation tsunami, and then the talent paradox. Talent is something which is competed, right? So Sanjeevji spoke about the Karnataka ecosystem, right? And then producing the talent. But at the same time, proliferation of so many GCCs, there is also a competition. So now the talent is also available in certain pockets. So some of the GCC aspiring destinations are focusing on specific skill set areas. Probably I think UP also should talk about, when they're talking about Kanpur, when they're talking about Lucknow, when talking about any other destination, which is the skill cluster that they are going to develop in that particular place. So that's how which they will be able to attract, whether it could be IT industry or it could be GCCs. And then over a period of time, so the GCCs are going to transform in the next 5 years. One is strategic GICs, wherever there is a domain expertise that is available. Let's say it is. Yeah, sorry. Oh, okay, right. Thank you. Okay, so the strategic GCCs, so which has got a skill set of the domain available, that is where they are going to consolidate, whether it could be manufacturing or retail. And then somebody is talking about life sciences and healthcare. So why most of the life sciences and healthcare GCCs are right now finding their place in Hyderabad? Because there is a pharma cluster which is proliferating out there. So that's a strategic GCC setup. The second one is the platform-centric GCCs. So these are the skill-centric, so whether it is analytics or it is AI, the skill-centric centricity. The third is the autonomous, the ones which probably wanting to completely leverage agentic AI kind of a technologies, and then wherever that skill is available, and then they are going to consolidate out there. So these are the trends that are actually emerging. And then how do you unlock and then how do you ensure the GCCs and IIT collaboration? So research and development, joint projects, funding and resource sharing. So this is something, the stage of the GCCs, especially mature GCCs, 70 of them, which has got 5,000 plus people who are aspiring to be the innovation hubs. And then global functions are moving here, and global leaders are moving in these GCCs to India. They are aspiring to collaborate and then do a joint research and development, co-innovation, and then talent development. Of course, many of them are all actually looking for the talent platforms. Now they have become as big as any other service provider. Obviously, the shelf life of any technology today is about 6 months to 1 year. How do you reskill, upskill them? Obviously, they are looking for actually platforms that would be enable them to reskill and then upskill. So that's another area where actually premier institutions would be able to play some role. And then the vision to impact. So potential to create another 100 plus unicorns. Sanjeevji said about actually quite a few out of the 110 unicorns. I think Bangalore has many of them, right? So there is an opportunity to create another 100 unicorns and then 1.5 million jobs in the next 5 years by unlocking this collaboration between GCCs and IITs. And then some path-breaking research and then co-innovation. So there is, Gartner has done a study in terms of which are the areas GCCs are actually spending majority of their R&D work and then their research spend. So these are the ones. Next generation product design and then engineering is an area where I think majority of them are actually spending. 51% of the total spend is going into product design and engineering. And then content summarization, generation, some of the Gen AI technologies is being leveraged by majority of the GCCs. Sales automation and LLM development, identity management, remote collaboration. So these are the areas where you see 2% to 6% are emerging areas. There is an opportunity for the premier institutions to be able to collaborate with some of these GCCs in this space. And then continuing on unlocking opportunities through the startup ecosystem. So access to incubation centers and resources, networking opportunities, right? Some of the, I glanced through the rest of the day agenda, so very well curated. So there are, I think, several sessions covering the most of the new technologies. I think there is some collaboration which is established. So I think more and more such initiatives are required. There are 1,600 plus MNCs run their R&D and digital innovation centers in India. So I think this is where the collaboration opportunity is there, okay? And then they're trying to scale opportunities. So that's where I think we should go and then try and then see if we can actually bring some of the GCCs into the state. And then IP development. So a service provider like HCL has got close to around 2,200 IPs so far jointly built with their customers. And that's feasible. There is an ample opportunity for even IITs, your innovation centers to be able to co-develop some of these IPs. And there are some statistics which I have given actually. So AI and machine learning around 136 billion, which is expected to be 2025. So which are the technology areas that which I'm talking about? I'm not going through all of that. Sustainability and clean technology is an area. healthcare and life sciences, quantum computing and cybersecurity, data analytics and intelligent automation, Industry 4.0 and IoT. So these are the key areas where the maximum spend is happening. And majority of these GCCs are spending in these areas. That's an area of collaboration and then co-creation that IIT can aspire for. Yeah, that's all what I have. And then if we have some time, then probably we can take questions, or otherwise I'm anyway available throughout the day. So I think you could discuss. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful and inspiring words. And I would thank all the speakers for setting up this, for giving their valuable perspectives. And they've set a powerful tone for the rest of the event. And we are truly honored by your presence today. The journey of Uttar Pradesh to Uttam Pradesh has already started. And IIT Kanpur Alumni Association is all geared up for this vision. It's been wonderful sharing this moment with you. Now, I would like to welcome my co-host, Mr. Aprajita, to kindly take the event forward. But before that, Mr. Jai Shankar Sharma has an important announcement to make.
I will request Professor Nachket Tiwari ji to make an announcement.
So, Jaishankar ji wanted to have a special focused session on GCCs and have direct interaction with our senior officials from the Uttar Pradesh government. So with that as the intent, there's a focused, sharp session starting at 2 o'clock in which senior officials, Alok Kumar ji and I think Vijay Kiran ji is, so they will be there. But if you are a stakeholder in the GCC ecosystem, kindly be there in the boardroom. Other sessions, A5, A6, A7, they will start from 3:20 onwards. So others, there's a scope for having interactions. And then he identified a list of gentlemen who are here, or persons. So I'm just reading this list. If I have missed someone, then please, you're welcome. So Mr. Rajesh Ojha from PwC, Mr. Jimmy James from Lowe's, Mr. Terence John from Ferguson, Mr. Sanjay Sikdar from Samsung, Mr. Sandeep Sharma from Tech Mahindra, Mr. Azam Khan from Eli Lilly, Mr. Jinya Suzuki from MUFG, Mr. Preet Yadav from NXP Semiconductors, Anika Darsha from Moar, Mr. Saran Sampath from Zinov, Mr. Sachin Tantri from Amadeus, Mr. Nilesh Kulkarni from ThoughtWorks, Mr. Vivek Jhunjhunwala from Global Shared Services, Mr. Bibhu Chaudhary from Trimble India, Mr. Venkat Kumar from Khon, Mr. K.H. Anand Kumar from Head Software Development, Mr. Shreyans Vasa from Cavitag, Ms. Monica Pirgal from Bharatiya Converge, Dr. Vivek Jha from Eli Lilly, and Mr. Vineet Kumar Srivastava from GSK. And in addition, we will certainly like Mr. Gupta ji from KSDEM and Mr. Chirukuri ji to also be there in the boardroom. So this meeting is going to be in boardroom from 2 p.m. to 3:20. Boardroom. It's in the same building, so that is there. And while this meeting is happening, others, this is a chance for you to all to interact with each other, exchange notes. So this is what he mentioned, so I'm just sharing these details for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A very good morning to one and all present here. It has been a wonderful morning since the time we started this event. And I look forward to an amazing day spending with you all talking about a lot of things. Myself, Dr. Aprajita Prasad. I come from the corporate side with around 20 years of experience, ex-director PwC, and one of the entrepreneurs these days. So as we move forward, this is an amazing, amazing amalgamation of beautiful people across different spectrums, across the policymakers, the investors, the entrepreneurs, the great tech people. We have all of it here. So that's the time when we all come together and talk about some of those very pertaining issues of how these all can come together, collaborate, and build something very beautiful, and picking up from Sir's line, to make Uttar Pradesh a beautiful and Uttam Pradesh. So throughout the day, we would have, and today and tomorrow, you would be seeing a lot of me here on the dais, and we would be having a lot of panel discussions. I think around 15 of them, with a lot of very intelligent conversations happening around GCCs, innovation, AI, how things can come up and shape together. So keep yourself, ready for this power-packed sessions. The very first that we would be starting today, the panel discussion title for the first session today is Solving Global Problems from India. How GCCs can leverage deep tech startups. And to begin this, I would love to call on the dais Mr. Rajesh Ojha, partner and GCC market leader, PwC. Please, sir, please come on the stage. Mr. Amit Verma, Deputy Director and Regional Head North, NASSCOM. Amit, sir, please come. And we would have Mr. Anurag Singh, CEO, Startup Incubation and Innovation Center, IIT Kanpur, who would love to moderate the session. Please come on the dais, sir. Lovely. So I'll hand over the panel to you, Anurag sir, and take it forward. And towards the end, that's my humble request to you. Let's have 2 or 3 key points towards the end of the session, so that we can build on to them towards our closing points. Thank you so much.
Sure. Well, good. I think we may have to pick this up. I see it, but it's not switching on. There you go. Good morning. How are you all today? Such an inspiring session in the morning. It was just amazing. The energy was just alive out here. It's really a pleasure to be here today, along with me, actually, with the panelists that I'll talk a little bit and give you a brief overview about. And the topic we're talking about is solving global problems from India, and how GCCs can actually leverage deep tech to solve that problem. So let me introduce myself. I am CEO of First IIT Kanpur, that is an incubation center at IIT. My brief background, I have actually built 2 startups, sold 2 startups, and then come out here as an alum at IIT Kanpur to help basically see the ecosystem grow and expand, and look at IIT Kanpur being my alma mater. I'm trying to do whatever I could to actually give it back something, and GCC is something interesting that we should talk about. But maybe before we jump into the whole topic, let me introduce you to the 2 panelists. And I never got a chance to talk to either one of them at this particular time, so I'll talk
to make it more interesting.
So, just to give you some background, which I picked up from LinkedIn actually. So I want to introduce, first of all, Rajesh Kumar Ocha, who's currently a partner and the GCC market segment leader at PwC India. Rajesh brings about 26 years of global experience, having worked across different industries from aerospace, defense, consulting, and technology leadership. I think before PwC, he spent more than a decade at Accenture, where he led the GCC business across all industries, and he has also held senior positions at IBM, TCS, and Aerodynamic Development Agency. So a lot of industry background and experience, actually. And what really stands out in his ability to combine deep domain expertise is a passion for mentoring leaders and building inclusive teams, actually. And today, when we talk about what we're going to share, he will share with us his insights and journey about helping global companies set up and scale their capability centers in India. So please join me in welcoming Rajesh. And next to me is Amit Varma, our second panelist, and he is Deputy Director and Regional Head, North India at NASSCOM. Amit works closely with enterprise, governments, and startups, leading initiatives that drive adoption of AI, emerging technology, and policy support for India's IT and innovation ecosystem. And beyond NASSCOM, Amit has been deeply involved in building entrepreneurial capacity, from mentoring startups with Stanford Seed to founding the Youth Startup Network, where he created India's first student pitch challenge out there. So, amazing journey actually out there to where you are today. So good. And what I want to talk about today, maybe from a big picture, and we heard about the big picture actually early in the morning, from 1,800 GCCs out there that we have built in this environment, and maybe about 180,000 plus startups in this country actually that DPVIT recognized out there. It's coming up to be an interesting time in the industry out there. So maybe for you, let me ask you the first question, Rajesh, and that is about how do you see this ecosystem evolving, especially with respect to the GCC, as you see, and the startup tech, deep tech startups actually? Because on one hand, you have the big GCCs who really want to have the ability to scale. And on the other hand, you have the startup ecosystem, which is really agile and nimble and wants to actually move forward. Sometimes that is one of the most difficult tasks, to bring the two together and maybe make sure that they can move forward. So can you comment and talk about it?
Yeah. Am I audible? Is it working?
No, I don't know.
So I think let me take the lead from where Dr. Sanjeev left the discussion in terms of when we think. So maybe a quick introduction, just to elaborate a little bit, and then I get into the topic. Is since you mentioned, so aerospace and defense actually has been in my blood largely because my father was in Air Force, and then he got posted to Bangalore, and then 91 onwards been in Bangalore, but otherwise have done all my studies in Prayagraj. So that's my connection with Prayagraj, and I come from there as well. And as Sanjeev was saying, the heart lies here, right? So this is something that I'm looking forward to. When you look at aerospace and defense, was where I spent time in Aeronautical Development Agency, part of the Light Combat Aircraft Prototype Version 1 design team. And then continued the same aerospace spirit, helping TCS set up its aerospace practice. Really early, when in 99, 2000 people were talking aerospace, we had set up a practice. And we took on actually all the, and this is going to the answer so that it relates to the story, because people can relate to. So what we did was aerospace practice, nobody understood aerospace. It was always about, either you're talking about a defense aircraft, which is fighter, which is basically the ones that HL was doing, or I did my project with CAPS, Center for Airborne Systems, in the Airborne Early Warning System, which was that Idli radar, which used to call them. So that is where the initial design team that I sat with, and a lot of very, very old senior people, right, 65 plus, becoming the whole, almost this size of the wall with the, paper drawings, and that the way it was being at least taught to me then. It was 96, 97 when I sat with them. But what actually changed from there is, the way I started looking at this differently. And first batch of people who joined us actually were all the retired people from ARDC, that Aircraft Research and Development Center. We picked up the whole team, right? Everybody, we could dock the name, went to HL and say, "Kon retire ho raha hai? Let's pick up everybody and make them part of our core team." And then second was, we went to, aerospace, which is IIT Madras and IIT Mumbai, basically, where we picked up the whole MTech batch. Said, everybody, whoever wants to come, please come, just welcome. And then this is how the two big teams together. And then we created within the office, I would say, a setup where we said, here is aerodynamics, here is engine, here is structure, here is avionics, and all the professors or let's say teachers who are coming from HL who had done 60 years of their work there or 50, 40 years. And then they teaching these people, and I can proudly say from there, it is about today if Boeing, the aircraft that's been designed post 2004, or Airbus A380 followed by the 350s and others, safely upwards of 400 plus engineers come from that incubation, right? Now this is a way where the startups thing comes in picture. This was a larger organization thinking like a startup and doing it together. So that's my first experiment. The second was one of the semiconductor, right? And this is again very similar. This was in IBM. When I went there, because aerospace was too much in my head, then said let's IBM talk about semiconductor. And those days I would say it was a big, whilst Kiran did mention about the whole how this evolution happened, right? And when you look at it, initially it was all about the way the companies were looking at India was through the eyes of IITs, IIMs and ISC. That's how it was. It was not about the scale. Scale actually was visible post Y2K. So Y2K was the biggest time when everybody said, okay, now this is where suddenly you have 200,000. And I was in TCS, I used to go to Sholingnallur and some of the places there. And we actually had a factory. So earlier this used to say it's a Y2K factory, and actually it was a factory converted into a Y2K, the code changing, I would say, factory. But what changed after that was the ability of these scaled talent coming into the industry and then taking the journey what Naveen was referring to. So, sorry, Kiran was referring to. So when you look at to your question now relating to this in terms of in the current context, which is, I would say, post-COVID, and I have this COVID as very, very important catalyst or element, because what COVID actually did, nobody thought about. What COVID did, it made every industry, irrespective of the industry you come from, as a tech company. So if you're a hospital, you have to be a tech company. If you're oil and gas, you have to be a tech company. If you're a pharma, you have to be a tech company. So irrespective, hotels had to be a tech company. Otherwise, you will not be able to deal with your clients. So the whole tech transformation journey took on. And suddenly the second realization happened was people were talking about this whole disaster recovery, business continuity plan, delivery centers. Suddenly company which has 40,000 people had 40,000 delivery centers because everybody was working from home. So what did it change? It just made everybody to work from anywhere. And that basically said that if your talent is in India, then this is where your thing. And this is where you see the change in behavior. Otherwise, people were rushing into Bangalore, right? I rushed in not because of my father got posted, but otherwise this is where it was. So, Dr. Sanjeev was here, he was referring, I think Kiran mentioned about Telangana, Hyderabad. So this is where everybody was going. COVID did the second thing is it said, okay, in India, across the world, your talent is coming from, why don't you go and get that talent locally? So then that was the second element came in picture. And third bigger element which has happened, which is very, very important cannot be missed actually, is if you look at last 5-10 years elections across states or across countries, the nationalization or nationalistic fervor is actually deciding the results of the election. So it is no more about the democratization in a very different form. So there is an element of nationalistic fervor has come in. So there is a change, the focus has changed, where governance has become a very important factor. So you could be the best leader because now COVID said you can go anywhere, but nationalistic fervor comes back and says, sorry, if you're a leader, you may still to be like what you hear, when we hear sometimes the Trump discussion that, there was recently a video he was asking how much you are investing, $60 billion, how much you are doing, $500 billion. So this is how every state, every country has started thinking. So when I hear Alok sir talking about $1 trillion economy, I'm not surprised, right? Because that's the way everybody is looking at it. And then trying to take advantage of both sides of the world, which is basically you're talking about. Now don't want to drag there, come back to the startup part. And startup part is where a startup is most agile thinking. But there was this comment in terms of startups around deep tech and startups otherwise, right? And when you look at the factors, deep tech certainly has taken a backseat in that context because initially the startup was about easy money making. That how you go and evolve when, valuations should go up and then you become. But what GCCs have done, right, and as this is the part of the post-COVID, is when you look at the open innovation discussion has started more because the talent availability and the startups coming in and saying, I am willing to invest and you're getting supported, right? So if you take examples after examples, you'll see many successful ones, but because the count is so much, that when you look at percentage, we talk about 1% or 0.5%, which is getting there. Now this is where the change has to happen. And change in this case, I think Sanjeev sir said that you give me 40,000 square feet and I'll bring 100 companies, right? I think this is exactly what is needed from a startup's health or health perspective. That this is more of, while we have created so many state policies, so many central policies, but when it comes to real handholding comes from a private company, which is a GCC, is they are in business of making money. They are not business of doing charity. So we have to look at that, how we bring them closer to this, where a startup is being given that place, right? And this relates to some of these, the work type I have seen. For example, if you go to Airbus Harburg channel, which is in Hamburg, there you would see Airbus has their 2-3 floors at the bottom, but all their partners, all their suppliers, all their startups, they have created layer after layer after layer floor. Each floor, but it is created by them. So it's basically all the infrastructure is ready, you have to just plug and play, right? So what you're doing is basically you are actually getting the culture ready, the setup is ready. For somebody to come in there for that startup, your thinking is already advanced ahead into the game. So this is where, IITs were always the incubation center, and I have been to some of the incubation centers earlier. But I think this needs to now expand into says that where you are inviting or selling it to the GCCs. So it's a true sales job that is needed at this moment. Expecting GCCs to come and adopt you is very unlikely, and I'm telling you very hard truth, right? While there are many GCCs in the room which are creating innovation hubs, and they are bringing people in that, but eventually it goes to that, if I do something great, is it scalable at an enterprise level? Is it secure enough? Is something that it can convert me into revenue? Or is it just a medal to say, I also do support startups? So this is where some of the changes need to be brought.
Maybe Amit, going back to the same question actually, and maybe from your perspective, if you look at it and talk about, what do you think are barriers to the GCC startup and the incubation environment, and how can they grow together and expand from here?
Thank you.
Hello, yeah. So thank you, and first of all, thank you so much for inviting me here. I think the journey started with Jaishankar ji 3-4 months back when we talked about how do we make this successful. I thought, I could always play my part in volunteering and getting leaders and talking about something which is very close to, I think, all of us. At NASSCOM, it is the voice of the whole IT, GCC, BPM industry, and has been since its inception. And I think we are fondly known as the coalition of competitors, because it's the only table where people who fight in the market come and talk. And I think that's all for consultants as well as for service providers and GCCs. So it gives us a unique perspective, a unique seat where we are able to see all stakeholders open up and talk about their challenges. So I would sort of come from there. And, I think before me, a lot of our speakers have very beautifully put out all the statistics and the overall vision, but I'll try and see if we can decode or sort of simplify that to what on the ground is happening. And I'll also add a personal perspective because, I really am very passionate about startups. As you said, I started that youth startup network just so that, kids in the school also get onto the fervor of entrepreneurship and not, and that was before Shark Tank. So, Shark Tank India. Also I've been an entrepreneur myself for, good 6-7 years. So I have sort of understood that. And while I now work at NASSCOM, I also get this wonderful perspective of working with government stakeholders. Alokji mentioned about so many things that the state of UP is doing. And Vijayji would also be here in a short while, and we have worked closely with him also, especially when UP was developing the GCC policy. I think, so coming back to that question, I think there are certain things that we really have to look at and find a solution to. I think first and foremost, when we look at GCCs, GCCs have this dual challenge, I would say. They want to work with startups, they want to bring in the innovation culture, but at the same time, there are many bottlenecks, especially around IP. Who owns what gets created. I think that's critical because from a startup lens, I do all the legwork. I would want to have a piece of the pie. Whereas from a GCC lens, I brought in the capital and the expertise. I would like to have a larger share of that pie. So I think IP, it becomes a very important area where there has to be a lot of conversation. And I think that's where also governance comes in because it's not just about two entities talking, it's also about the ecosystem developing around IP and how IP could be protected and shared. So that's, I think, a wonderful area to talk about. The other aspect I think also comes in is that we have to realize that GCCs are also an extension or an say a competency center, as Kiran said, for a global parent organization that's not sitting here. So there is a lot of evangelization a GCC leader goes through to make sure that people there buy into this innovation and deep tech story that is happening here. And I think that's also a very critical part that we as a community have to make sure that it reaches the right audience. Because all of us have to talk about that innovation story and that success of innovation that is happening between this collaboration. Because then only, it sort of reaches the right doors and not just the GCC leader or the country head here sitting and saying that, okay, I am doing something which is very wonderful. I want to scale it at enterprise level. It has to happen. So I think these two from the GCC side are very, very critical, I believe. And from the startup side, I think deep tech startups get a lot of, they need a lot of time. It's not like, as Rajesh was saying, it's not about building a tool or an app and sort of digitizing something which was legacy. There is a lot more work, and I think with your experience also, I'm sure you know that how much support that these startups need. So I think one just point I would like to raise is patient capital. I think we talk a lot about that, and I think that's again from a governance standpoint. I want to bring that at the state level, because we are talking about UP here. At the state level, also, the government has to talk about capital which is patient. Because private entities will still have, smaller gestation times. They want returns. But I think the government is the only unique entity in the room which can say, okay, I am okay with 20 years horizon. But I don't want that money back now. So I think that's one important area that we should all look at. Back to you.
Thank you. So one of the things that you mentioned, and I may be going back to asking you, Rajesh, about it, is, you talk about the bridging between, for the IP especially, and I think that is a real problem actually. Have you or either one of you actually have been involved where you have helped bridge that gap, and what and how you did that? If you were involved, and if you were not, that's okay.
So I have not been part of any IP discussion, honestly, so I would not say that I have bridged that. But when you look at startups, and I have been personally involved in multiple innovation, I would say structuring, right? When innovation structuring in context of GCC is when you are creating these open innovation hubs where you bring in startups on certain specific areas, right? So since you mentioned about deep tech, and this is more in context of that, right? So deep tech startups, 2-3 things which is important, just adding to what you just said, right? And then focusing on it. Like one is obviously deep pocket, deep time, because these two are very, very important element. And when you look at it in terms of the way government is looking at it, it is, and I was doing some study before that, in terms of which all countries can we emulate, right? So there are certain things what Israel does differently. There are certain things which Ireland does very differently. So there are certain things which is Australia doing very differently. And within US, the way this whole private university models and the support comes in picture. So so one is government coming in to fund, but government can only do this much because there are process bindings. There are these whole challenges of audits, etc., which sometimes removes the flexibility away. But when it comes to private-public partnership, as the private part comes in picture, and especially the private universities or the private companies investing, saying that I am going to adopt this startup. And the adoption part comes in picture by seeing the signs of the startup. So today, I have been personally involved in, and I will not name the companies or the startups at this moment, but this is a telecom company, right, which we were talking about this whole 5G initiatives, and they really wanted to look forward more of a private 5G model. That, how do I go to a Coal India, or how do I go to a somebody and create a private network and create this whole ecosystem of AI, which is autonomous vehicle, unmanned vehicle that going into the terrains where a normal person should not go. And you're talking about this automated health, that if somebody who is in the mining is going down that, and the helmet is talking about the health of the person, the surroundings and all. So it was basically all interconnected. It's more like an IoT, right? Connected devices operating within a private network which has been created. And this is where we realized that 3-4 startups came together and at least gave a point of view, right? Which was to say that this is art of possible. And today I can proudly say some of them are already working, not that at the scale that was talking about. Second was with respect to, the startups coming in saying about this whole cleanliness of cities, and, where these are very simple, solutions is collection of garbage and putting it together and getting, noticed by the direct. So there was this company which created sensors of 10, 15, 20 rupees, right? And then they provided the solution. So like this, the way it is happening is industry exact problems. If you're getting into the solutions and that is getting incubated, you would see that coming. But if somebody is solving a very hypothetical problem, which is little away from reality, certainly you're going to see that challenge that, these gaps are not.
No, and I think that is an interesting perspective, and I'm being told from a time perspective, we are already running behind schedule, so we may have to wrap this up, even though it's such an interesting topic, because we didn't get a chance to talk about some of the other elements, which I think, thinking about from a government side, are the policies, current practices, are the funding things that we're talking about, are they really suited for something like this in this environment or not? And I know it is not an easy topic out there, primarily because it is evolving and growing as we are talking about it. But it is a critical element that we all need to think about and see, are our policies up to the mark of what we need for bridging the gap between the GCCs and the startup ecosystem out there? Not just deep tech startup, but overall actually as you look at it. So maybe from a closing side, I'll give you a quick 1 minute out there, Amit, before we wrap this up, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I think only thing that I would want to talk about is the institution, academic institution in the middle. I think we are here at an institution and we should talk about what's that role gonna be. So academic institutions do support startups, like you incubate a lot of startups, you spearhead that initiative at your end. But I think the other aspect I want to bring out is that as academic institutions, how much we are going back to the government. Because see, to the industry we want to reach out. And the industry also wants to have a dialogue, and there is some channel which exists. How much are we actually going back to the government? See, because there is a dual element of education, evangelization and selling, as Rajesh was saying, at the governance side also. Not everybody that comes out in the governance space is from IITs, right? So there is a lot of awareness that we need to create about emerging tech at the government level, to just for them to realize that it is an important area to focus on. So I think as institutions, you become a unique position holder to sort of take that back to the government in a unbiased way, rather than corporates or any startup themselves going. And I think you could be that voice to bring it back to the government and say this is very critical and this is where the impact is with these data points. So I think that's also something I wanted to highlight before we sort of close the session. So thank you.
Thank you. So we'll wrap it up actually, and just to summarize a few things which we heard today, from 18,000 GCCs to 180,000 startups and bridging the gap between them as we talk about it. That's a critical mass that we are building, and I'm hoping that that will actually build the momentum that we need to get to the next stage of our growth out here. Second, I think we talk a little bit about collaboration that we just touched upon and didn't go too much deep into it, but it is another critical element that we need to see. How do we build and collaborate between these GCCs and the startups in the ecosystem? Because I see that still as a challenge out there, and we need to work on that framework coming from more on the startup side and the incubation environment. And third item, I don't think we touched upon, but I was thinking about it, was really the mindset actually and the culture that we think about as we are building from the GCCs to basically the startup ecosystem. And there is a wide gap in that environment. And how do we think about bridging those as we start looking at the culture between those? So with those three things and thinking about those, maybe we can wrap this up and give back the microphone to you. And thank you again for your time. And a big round of applause for the panelists, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely, lovely. Thanks, Anurag sir, for having those 3 bullet points as requested by me. Thanks, Rajesh sir and Amit sir, for your wonderful time and thoughts. Before we leave you, we have a small token of appreciation for you guys. And to give that, I would love to call Tarun sir on the stage. So Tarun Bhargav, the Vice President, Alumni Association, IIT Kanpur. Please come on the dais. Ria, can we have that? Yes. We loved you having with us, and we would love to give a small token of appreciation. Thank you so much. And one for you. Lovely. Thank you all once again. Thank you. Okay, before we move forward and go ahead with our day, I have a couple of announcements. The very first one is that, the startup pitches have started in our conference room outside. The investors who want to listen to them or have a word or interaction can drop by and look into it. That's first. And secondly, I also want you guys to know of something that's very interesting that's happening from our own SIIC, that is Startup Incubation and Innovation Center, IIT Kanpur. Along with Bank of America, there's a hackathon that's happening, and there's a scan or a barcode on which you can log on and get to know the more details. For a brief, just a quick 1-minute talk, I would love to have Shagun. You can just talk about it. Not reflecting on the screen right now.
Oh, इनका मैसेज नहीं आया अभी तक. कोई नहीं है क्या भैया?